Okay, well, I haven't done a video about Channel 1 in a very long time, but guess what? It's time to call them out because they've been ignoring some major news stories. And even if they cover it for a few seconds on the air, you won't even find it on the website. So, I will give them credit. They did a good job covering the two fatal incidents on the subway in Far Rockaway on the A line, and of course that other incident that happened in Jackson Heights, and just two very, very unfortunate circumstances. So, I will mention that if you want to read those articles, I will mention that in the description below you can read the New York One articles, or Channel 1, as we should be calling them. But yes, there were some major stories that briefly did get covered by Channel 1 in Staten Island. But we're also going to talk about some other stories in Queens. So, I think the first thing we'll do is, let's see if I can find it. Here it is. So there was a stabbing on the Staten Island Ferry yesterday, and barely any media covered it. Not one station sent a reporter to Staten Island to St. George Ferry Terminal. So let's read this. 4 people were arrested after a man was stabbed on the Staten Island Ferry Terminal in St. George yesterday morning. 19-year-old victim, a teenage male, was stabbed in the chest shortly before 9 a.m., police said. He was taken to Richmond University Medical Center where he was listed in stable condition. The NYPD arrested 4 people after the stabbing. It wasn't immediately clear what charges they would be facing. So, police are obviously not telling us any more details, but again, this was a major story. A reporter should have been sent, not just by Channel 1, but the other channels. I mean, really. The media can be so dysfunctional. And then this also happened in Staten Island. Wrong way incident, Staten Island. Here we go. So this happened, when did this happen? Yes, this happened last week. Okay. So it says here that it happened on Friday. All right. Maria Ellis Andis Martinez was crossing Jewel Avenue at the intersection of Kierba Court in the westerly section of Staten Island around 6:10 in the morning on Friday, October 14th, when a Dodge Charger hit her, leaving her in critical condition. The driver stayed at the scene, and EMS workers arrived in an ambulance to take the woman to the hospital. As the ambulance was traveling on Main Avenue, a Jeep heading west on Jewett Avenue hit the emergency vehicle. Police said the ambulance was going the wrong way down a one-way street. Andis Martinez and 3 EMS workers were taken to Richmond University Medical Center, where the 3 first responders were listed in stable condition. Sadly, the woman passed away at Richmond University Medical Center. The Jeep driver was listed in stable condition at Staten Island North Hospital. The extent of the injuries sustained by the Jeep driver and the EMS workers wasn't immediately cleared. Nobody has been arrested in connection with either crash as of Friday, October 14th, and of course, going into this video, nearly 5 days later. There's still an ongoing investigation, so let's see. Jewett Avenue. I'm going to look this up. Oh yeah, I definitely know this area pretty well. This is Jewett Avenue. Yeah, Jewett Avenue, right here. And this is where the S66 stops, right near this area. And then you have the S54 route. And then also around here, you have the Sim 35 Express bus. So I decently know this area pretty well. It's not too far from Victory Boulevard. Yeah, right here. So let's do a street view. Can we pull up a street view? Get you an idea? Because I believe this is a one-way street. Yeah, I know this is residential, so let's see. Let's see. Is this a one-way street? Oh boy, yeah, this is a narrow street. Yeah, it looks just as narrow as the other streets in Queens. Wow. Look at that. I mean, this is a pretty decent area, but Well, just so unfortunate that it had to happen here. So obviously the media barely covered that at all. But apparently, Stop the Presses! When dogs are on the loose, we'll cover that! So let's watch this video, because the other stations besides Channel 1 did do a good job covering it. So let me just put my desktop audio on and we'll watch the video.
I got scared because, you know, we do have a lot of small kids around here.
10 pit bulls, including 4 puppies, removed from this New Brighton home Tuesday afternoon after what neighbors describe as a terrifying scene. This following people attacked on the street after dogs bolted out of this home's window. Neighbors supplied this footage showing the aftermath with the police. Pit bulls seen running around the corner property.
You can't stop them, and I wasn't going to come out here and stop them. I stayed on the other side of my fence.
2 people came down, one with a leaf blower and one with a board, trying to scare them off.
Police say 3 people who were attacked were taken to a nearby hospital. A 2-year-old girl was bitten in the side and on her left arm. A 13-year-old girl and a 19-year-old woman were both bitten on the leg. Coralie Chandler, who lives across the street, saw several of the attacks, including a young teen who refused treatment.
And a kid across the street was coming home from somewhere. He was coming down the hill. He didn't see them. And all of a sudden, the pit bulls were behind him. So he got across the street and he tripped and fell.
Chandler and her daughter say after he was attacked, they sheltered him.
We had him come in behind the gate,
Okay.
and that's when she called 911.
Police say 8 to 10 minutes after 911 calls were made, someone who lives in that home was able to get all the dogs back inside. 2 individuals, a man and a woman, were taken into custody for questioning.
Diesel, Baby, Cookie, Princess, Catalea, and Nova.
Princess Wilson says those are the names of the 6 adult dogs that stayed in that home with her adult daughter. She describes them as all family dogs.
Sad that whoever got bit by these dogs, that's a sad thing. I wouldn't want nobody get bit by a dog, but accidents happen.
Wilson believes the dogs were trying to protect their pups.
They were scared. They didn't know who these people were that were coming toward them.
Neighbors we spoke with said although the dogs are usually well behaved, this is all concerning.
Personally, I don't have a problem with pit bulls, but it's the people that take care of them.
The dogs that are over there have always been very friendly with all the kids. They bark a lot, but they're dogs.
And I was here with neighbors as one by one dogs were taken from this home behind me and placed into kennels. All of those dogs were transferred to animal care centers. On Staten Island, Edric Robinson, New York 1.
So again, Channel 1 did a good job covering this. So let me just pause it right here. So let's see how long they spent. Yeah, 2 minutes. So they did a good job covering this one. But the other 2 stories, you know, again, you already had a reporter available to go to Staten Island. The same reporter could have went to Staten Island and covered what happened at the ferry terminal. And then, of course, the other story we just read, I mean, you know, Staten Island again. This is what you get in Staten Island. So, this happened in the New Brighton section. Okay, so let's look up New Brighton, Staten Island. Okay, let's see. New Brighton, Staten Island. Okay, here we go. Yeah, New Brighton's not really a good area to be in because it's right by St. George. Yeah, this is not a good area to be in Staten Island. Yeah, not as much, no. It's right by Snug Harbor, and it's right by Godrell Pool, but, you know, pretty much if you go by from, I would say, probably Prospect Avenue, somewhere around here, well, that's not really a good area to be in. Yeah, especially Tompkinsville. Then, of course, that's a whole different story. But this is where it happened, somewhere around this area. But again, we're Channel 1. We'll just ignore Staten Island as much as we can, except, again, the poor doggies. They were let out and put on the loose. I mean, that's an unfortunate story, and I understand that. But, you know, again, that's what will get you ratings. So, let's move on to My Precious Queens. And of course, again, like I mentioned earlier in the teaser, I'm not going to go into it again, but, problem. Where is the fire that happened in Long Island City? Where is the, what's the other story? Yeah, where's the nice bus accident that happened? Nowhere to be found. Where is it? I don't see it anywhere here. Okay, so we're gonna have to watch this video from channel 7. So let me put this here, and then I'll just mute my mic so you can hear the audio.
A busy morning. We have more breaking news just in. A bus crash in Hollis, Queens. Our crew just sending back these pictures you see of the damage. Front end of a Nassau County bus. You see it right there. And that rear-ended a garbage truck. And you can see the shattered windows as well there. It happened at Hillside Avenue and 191st Street just before 4:30 this morning. About 10 people were actually treated for minor injuries.
My goodness, this should have been the lead story on Channel 1 this morning. And by the way, I'll mention Pat Kiernan wasn't even on this morning, so that's a whole different story. You know, it's like one day, a few days in a row, you'll see Pat doing the morning news, but apparently not today. And don't even get me started on that traffic reporter. Oh my God, she's so preppy. Ugh. I forget her name at the moment. I can't stand her. But the woman who does the weather in the morning, she does a good job. I'll give her credit on that. She doesn't sound preppy. You know, lately Pat Kiernan has become so preppy too. You know, he used to be a good reporter a long time ago. He was a very fair-minded reporter. But something has really changed in Pat Kiernan. And as I've been saying, ever since Dominic Carter left, their politics coverage has just become so biased. That's the way I feel it. But overall, that's the major shakeups at Channel 1. And of course, you get ignored in Queens just because. So we have a lot of news that happened in Queens as usual. First of all, I don't see anything about the stabbing that happened in College Point. So we're going to have to do some research on that. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah, Channel 1 ignored this one. Oh, don't even get me started on that one. Okay. And at least the good thing is Channel 1 did do an update on this. So, yeah, we have a lot of news that we have to talk about. So I don't want to read everything, but I think what we should do is something that, yeah, here we go. Let me figure this out. I'm going to try to organize this. Okay, here we go. I want to talk about the fire. Then we got the Elmhurst crash, and then there was a shooting in Ridgewood. So let me see if I can pull up the article that happened in Long Island City. Here we go. This is it. 2 firefighters fatally injured after a massive 4-alarm fire gutted a warehouse in Long Island City. So here we go. So Channel 1 briefly brought this up yesterday morning. And yes, one of the 2 mornings that Pat Kiernan was on the newscast. So here we go. So this fire just happened at 2:40 a.m. yesterday morning, October 18th, inside a 1-story shipping supply store at 47-46 30th Street in Long Island City. The first arriving units encountered a light haze coming from the store's rolled-down gates. After cutting through the gates, the firefighters were met with heavy fire and smoke conditions. Personnel were briefly withdrawn from the scene as propane canisters and other hazardous materials exploded inside. Yeah, so look at that. I mean, this is so scary. So it says here that hundreds of firefighters were called to the location. Several tower ladders units set up the hose lines, pouring water down to the fire from above. The injured firefighters were treated for minor ailments, it was reported. The fire was brought under control, get this, nearly 5 hours later in the morning, right after 7 a.m. I mean, this is so unfortunate. I mean, how do you not send a reporter to this? Oh, you know why? Because we're covering the Yankees. You know, that's Channel 1 in a nutshell. Okay, so I want to organize this. What I want to do now is see if we can find anything about the stabbing in College Point. Because this is... Let's see if we can find anything on it. Here we go, got it. So, let's see what happened in College Point. Yeah, here we go. This is what Laura Wool was talking about. Yep. This happened on Sunday, October 9th, so nearly 2 weeks ago. So this happened on 126th Street in College Point, which this area is starting to become very unsafe. You know, this is right by the ShopRite. So it says here that the two groups had knives and bats. So it says that one of the groups allegedly stabbed the 22-year-old male victims in the torso and face before they fled on foot. The injured victims were taken to Elmhurst Hospital by private means and were listed in stable condition. Okay, so at least the victims are going to be okay. So it says here, in footage released by police, 4 people mercilessly kicked one of the victims while he laid on the ground helpless as bystanders watched the near storefront. One of the attackers, caught on tape, also appears to hit the victim with an unknown object before all of them leave the store. So, as I said, I mean, this is starting to become a very unsafe area. I mean, thankfully, this is not the... I'm trying to think, right? This is not the other 7-Eleven I know of in Whitestone. Now, if this happened in Whitestone, you know, this God forbid this happened in Whitestone. Oh, boy. Okay, so let's move on to this. This is what I wanted to read. So, Queens DA Melinda Katz has announced that a suspect has been charged in connection to the school bomb threat at St. Francis Prep School back in April. So, a teenager was arrested back on Wednesday and was charged with making a terroristic threat and other crimes for allegedly orchestrating a phone bomb threat to St. Francis Preparatory High School in Fresh Meadows back on April 25th, according to Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz. The 16-year-old former student at the school was arraigned Wednesday night before Queens Criminal Court Judge Edwin Novello on a complaint charged with him making a terroristic threat, reckless endangerment, falsely reporting an incident, endangering the welfare of a child, 2 counts of possession of air pistols, and making a threat of mass harm. So here we go. And yes, I literally remembered that I was on my lunch break at Osnum Hall when this news first broke. I remember this was a Monday. Like, all my coworkers were literally scared that an incident was happening right down the street. So here we go. According to the complaint, on the morning of Monday, April 25th, 2022, at approximately 9:30 a.m., a phone call was placed to Highway Patrol Unit 3 by somebody using the name Jake. The individual allegedly stated that he was a 9th grader at St. Francis Prep and that he planted 4 pipe bombs inside the school located at 61-00 Francis Lewis Boulevard. Again, Queens Courier, epic fail! You forgot to add the dash! Unbelievable. All addresses in Queens have a dash. So let's continue. The caller allegedly added that 2 of the bombs were placed inside a locker on the first floor of the school. 1 bomb was placed inside a male bathroom, and 1 more was placed inside a female bathroom. Immediately following the call, approximately 2,000 students were evacuated from the school for an extended period of time while police searched the premises. No bombs or other harmful devices were found at the time. So it says here, investigators tracked a Discord server that said they were planning to make this threat for $80 as a payment of services. So, I mean, this is very scary stuff. Okay, so look at this. They found the IP address of the defendant. Look at that. So it says here that the student was, in fact, expelled back in February of this year as part of an investigation. And look at this. 2 air pistols were removed from the defendant's computer room. Okay, so here we go. This is, again, very scary stuff. Okay, so the suspect was ordered to return to court back on Monday. Wow, okay. So he probably was convicted. And you know what? This kid needs to be in jail for a while. You know, and again, mind you, this was not too far from Mazda Mall. Alright, I was literally on duty when this incident happened. Okay, so let's get into another important story, which is more good news. Now, again, thankfully, Channel 1 did briefly cover this. So here we go. Roosevelt Rose was arraigned back on October 13th. And oh, thank goodness, Justice Holder arraigned him. Oh, thank goodness. You know, Kenneth doesn't take any BS. Trust me. So, this was an incident that happened back on May 8th. Now, if you don't remember, this was the incident where the woman was struck by a vehicle. A stolen 2019 Ford F-50 truck by Roosevelt Rose. So, it says here, he was trying to make a 3-point turn at the dead end of 120th Avenue. The defendant allegedly struck multiple parked vehicles, including a parked BMW sedan that belonged to 24-year-old Princess Nguyen. Upon hearing the commotions, he exited her house along with her mother. Yes, so obviously, again, we know that the elderly woman was struck by the vehicle, and the woman died at the hospital. So that was a very unfortunate circumstance. Remember, I had a video from Channel 1 about this back in May. So, thankfully, after a months-long investigation, Mr. Rose was arrested Thursday morning. So, oh, are you kidding me? So this guy's going to be out for the next 2 months? Unbelievable. Kenneth, what are you doing? This guy should be arraigned this week. Okay, so here we go. Let's just read when he's supposed to be scheduled to be arraigned. So wait, why is he being arraigned on a Sunday? I'm on my phone right now, and it says here that Justice Kenneth Holder sent the defendant's return date for December 12th. Rose faces up to 25 to life in... So again, this guy's out for 2 more months! Unbelievable! So he's out in the street for 2 months! You know what you can blame this on? Bail reform! No surprise. If there was no bail reform, they would probably hold the suspect in Rikers for 2 months. Now, he's going to be allowed to commit the same crime again, and they gave him a death ticket appearance. No surprise. No surprise. Yeah, the defendant's in custody. No, he's not, Melinda Katz. He's out in the street for 2 more months until his arraignment. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So again, folks, this is why you gotta vote for Lee Zeldin. Right? The criminals need to be held in prison until their arraignment. 2 months? Really? 2 months? Makes me sick to my stomach. Okay, so we're going to read 3 more articles. Let's read about what happened in Elmhurst. So what happened in Elmhurst? Here we go. So, car crashed at the intersection of 50th Avenue and 94th Street within the confines of the 110th Precinct, left 2 women injured on the roadway back on Monday. Okay, so let's read what further happened here. So this happened at 4:13 p.m. Police responded to a call when they found the 2 women, a 32-year-old with minor injuries and complaints of pain, and a 55-year-old with severe head trauma, were taken to Elmhurst Hospital. The 32-year-old is reported to be in stable condition. The 55-year-old female remains in critical condition. So it says here that An investigation conducted by the Highway District Collision Squad determined that a 2013 pilot operated by a 35-year-old male was traveling westbound on 50th Avenue and approaching the intersection of 94th Street when stopped at the stop sign before proceeding through the intersection. At the same time, a 2022 Chijiao gas-powered scooter operated by the 32-year-old female with the 55-year-old female passenger was traveling northbound 94th Street, entering the intersection of 50th Avenue. The woman collided with the front driver's side fender of the man's car as a result of the collision. Both women were ejected and thrown to the pavement. The operator of the pilot remained at the scene and was not injured. There are no arrests. Ongoing investigations. And then we got this. Alright, so we got two more stories we're going to read. 3 charged with murder in fatal shooting at a Ridgewood recording studio. Here we go. This happened back in June. Warren Burgess and Savion Johnson and Omar Gaines were arrested and charged in the fatal shooting of a structure gang member at Putnam Avenue in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. So, oh, okay, so this was related to the shooting. Okay. Right, I remember. This one happened back in June at Wyckoff. So, hey, at least there is some decent news. Police are starting to make arrests, but, you know, with bail reform, again, the criminals get out the next day. So here we go. So look at this. A woman was trapped in a turnstile last week on Tuesday. So this happened on October 11th. At approximately 11:40 a.m., police responded to... police reported that a 26-year-old female was entering the 63rd Drive Rio Park subway station through a full-height security turnstile when an unidentified man grabbed her and pinned her inside the turnstile. The woman fought back, and during the struggle, the man took her wallet from her hand. The man fled in an unknown direction. Okay, so there is a... they did make an arrest. That's the good thing. They were able to find out who this guy was. So at least, the police at least made an immediate arrest. But I mean, look how scary this is. He just trapped her inside that thing. I mean, how is that acceptable? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely got a good look of him. So probably a former ex-con who got out on bail reform. No surprise. So, again, this is what Channel 1 decides to do. They ignore us as usual. They try to put us down. And this is what happens. So, I don't know if I'm going to make another video. But if it warrants it, I'll consider it. But again, Channel 1 is up to their usual antics. No surprise here. Just like News 12 in Long Island, Channel 1 in New York City, up to their usual no good antics of just ignoring us. So that's it.